getting set up. Just bear with me a moment. And we'll be here for our weekly get together. All right, looks like I'm live everywhere. Welcome. My name is Dan, otherwise known as Men Need to Be Heard, and I do a weekly live chat every Wednesday from 4 to 5:30 Eastern US. I host a podcast about men's and boys' issues, speaking out the issues that they face, and trying to raise awareness and, in some cases, get them help. So I'm live on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. So I have 3 different cameras going, 3 different places. So normally I have different things that I want to chat about. Sometimes I do a wide open one. Today I wanted to kind of do something that those of you who don't follow me regularly may not know. I have my regulars that come on the live every week. And I'm going to apologize up front because I feel like crap right now. Last Friday night, during the night, I started feeling really I won't give you details. But I ended up coming down with a stomach bug that's as bad as any I've ever had. To be honest with you, it just finally cleared up. Probably yesterday was the first time I felt human. Great diet, by the way. I lost 10 pounds. Not that I want to. It's actually very counterproductive for me to do so. But yeah, so I got nothing done over the past few days. And unfortunately, now I'm also coming down with some sort of chest thing. So feeling pretty crappy, but I am going to be here, be with my friends, say hi. And again, I thought I would do something that's a little different from what I do here. But for those who are not my regular followers, you may not know that I'm also a personal trainer and strength and conditioning coach. I work with competitive athletes who compete in powerlifting, weightlifting. And so I do that. I also work with people on weight loss and all that. I don't talk about that much here at all. It's something I try and keep completely separate. Much like I don't talk about this stuff there, I just feel it's appropriate to keep it separate. But one of the things that I thought might be fun, because from time to time on these lives, people have started, they find out that that's what I am as a trainer. I've got over, wait for it, 40 years of experience. I started training in 1979, which is longer ago than most of you were born. So I kind of know what I'm doing, though some would argue I don't. But I thought I would do with you guys what I do with a lot of my clients, which is I have a year-end get-together with them. And we sit down and chat. And I say, what's your plan for 2024? And now, I know a lot of people are going to come back with, well, my resolution is, all right, let's say it's to lose weight, quit smoking, quit drinking. Doesn't matter, right? And I say to them, well, that's great that you have a resolution. What's your plan? And 99 out of 100 times, honestly, not so true with my clients because they know what I'm going to ask them. But if you ask the majority of people who make New Year's resolutions, well, how are you going to go about it? They'll handle something. Let's say it's weight loss, just to pick one. Well, I'm going to hit the gym more and eat better. Okay. Not going to work. Not that those things can't work. Absolutely they can. But I always say this, a resolution or a goal, if you will, without a plan is just a wish. And it's nothing more than that. It's the plan that helps you succeed. So that's why I wanted to kind of throw it out for you guys. If you want to ping me about questions related to fitness, again, I don't normally do this. I'm not going to sell anything. Don't worry about that. I'm not pitching you for my training, to be honest with you. I don't really have any slots left to train people. I have some in my group training, but my individual training slots are full right now. But anyway, so if you want to ask me about that, that's one option. If you just want to have a general chit chat, that's fine too. Like I said, I am pretty open today. I'm going to apologize. As I mentioned earlier, I feel like crap. Kidding, but I was going to go full millennial on y'all and call in sick, but I can't do that. I'm a boomer. I'm an old guy. I'm kidding, by the way, millennials. All right. Although my daughter, who happens to be a millennial, I was talking with her the other day. She's a manager. And she She runs a specific department in the state of New York. And let's just say she went off the other day, and it was great. But anyway, you know, and you should hear her talk about millennials. It's not me, it's her. I'm kidding, by the way. Calm down, people. I see a couple of you get not funny. It's joking, all right? Relax, relax. So anyway, ask me whatever you want. General chit chat, and I'm going to try and muddle through for the whole time. For those that is first time watching or listening, as I said, I do a live every Wednesday, 4 to 5:30 p.m. Eastern. And then I also host a podcast, which goes up at 11 o'clock on Sundays. The podcast is on hiatus till after New Year's. I decided to take a little break from it. Haven't put one up in a couple of weeks, and that was planned. There was no reason. But I needed to just step away from it. That's a lot of work. People think that doing podcasts isn't that hard. I do 2 of them, right? Well, one of them is actually a radio show that becomes a podcast, but it's a lot of work. By the time you've got to set your guests up, schedule everything, record the show, prep beforehand what questions or what topics you're going to talk about, and then actually record it and then edit it, get it uploaded and all that. So, it's a lot of work. And I had done, I think I'm up to 36. I started earlier this year. I started in February, and I only missed, I think, 1 or 2 weeks. And those were both planned when I was on vacation in the summer. DJ Light, thank you for buying the badge over on Instagram. By the way, I just in case I missed them, because sometimes I do, any gifts are much appreciated. All right. And thank you for them. But anyway, I decided in November to take a little bit of break. I actually have a couple of podcasts in the can ready to go for next year. And that's what kind of prompted me also to throw this out as a topic is, what are you thinking about that you want to accomplish next year? I mentioned fitness stuff earlier. It doesn't have to be fitness. Mine are to continue to grow that podcast. I started it February of this year. And I did it because of you guys, right? So I'd been doing videos on TikTok primarily since 2020, a little bit on Instagram, a little bit on YouTube. But I kept getting people say, you should do a podcast, dude. You should do a podcast. And I at the time, I owned a gym, so it was very hard for me to find the time to do that stuff. But I knew that I was going to get rid of that part of it. I still train, but I do it all online or in person. I don't actually own the gym anymore. I divested from it. So I said, all right, let me start the podcast. And it blew up. I never thought in a million years it would do what it's doing. Doing great on Spotify. It's doing great on YouTube. The thing that really touches me more than anything is not, everybody says, look at your metrics and all that. And that's great. They are. They're great. But what touches me more than anything else is the people that reach out to me afterward, right? They'll watch a particular episode. One guy reached out to me. He had watched one of the episodes I did in the spring and it kind of ties into what I'm talking about here, where he had watched the episode and said, that really struck home with me and I need to make some changes in my life. And again, same conversation I'm having with you guys is, well, how are you going to do that? First of all, what are the changes and how are you going to do it? And that's where having that conversation with him really resonated with me, because it made me feel like this is why I'm doing the podcast. And it's why I do the live every week. I love the podcast. Don't get me wrong. I love making videos. I try and do at least a video a day. I have the 2 channels on TikTok. This one on TikTok that you're watching, Men Need to Be Heard 3. I also have Men Need to Be Heard 2, TOO. I have the Instagram. I have the YouTube. And I have the other one is Elon's World, I call it. I do a lot more stuff on there than I can do on the other ones because, well, Elon lets me. I love all that. But what I love most, honestly, is this. Interacting with you guys. And I'll get to the comments. I know some people are jumping in and making comments. But this is what I enjoy more than anything else, because I see questions come in, and I've seen a couple of them, and I'll get to them. But that's what makes makes it worthwhile for me, right? And one of the plans I have is to look at doing more lives, which is one of the questions I want to ask for you guys. Now, if you're a first-time listener, you can give your opinion. I certainly welcome it. But I'm really, for those of you, and I see some of the names, that come every week. If I did another one, when would be the best time to do it? Because, again, I got to work around my schedule. It can never be in the mornings on the weekdays because that's when I do all my personal training and coaching and all that stuff. And I can't do early evenings because the same thing happens, right? I have sessions basically from 7 a.m. till 1 p.m. And then I have the afternoon free, which is when I do the podcast stuff normally. And then, early evening, I've got a couple of group classes that I run, stuff like that. But when would you guys think about it? I mean, it could be on the weekend, could be a weeknight, something like that. So, if you want to give your opinion, jump in and let me know. And again, I'm here for you guys today. It's more about what you want to talk about. Like I said, if you're thinking about 2024, and if you're not, now's the time to. If you're thinking of making some changes, whatever they might be in your life, or you want to do accomplish something. So I mentioned one of the things I want to do is grow the podcast some more, maybe add another live, do more of this. And then once I settle on that, my next step will be put the plan together. All right. Like John, thank you. He mentioned doing one on Saturday. Let's say I say, okay, Saturday it's going to be at 10 a.m. Well, how am I going to do that every week? What if I have other commitments and all that? That's what I'm talking about, right? And I saw somebody else mention on Instagram. Hang on, let me scroll back. Where was it? Because it was a great point that was made, and I don't want to miss it. One thing I mention it every week. I know I sound like a broken record with it, but Instagram sucks as far as messaging, because TikTok, it just kind of keeps going. YouTube, it keeps going. Instagram throws in all these waves, and I miss things. So let me just kind of go through the Instagrammers real quick. Did I hear the story about a woman who tried to live a man and was surprised at how it was? Yes, that story is actually pretty old. If I remember right, and bear with me, my brain is foggy. Sorry, I almost swore. If I remember right, it was 2006-07 area, somewhere in there. There was an author. She decided to live, I believe it was a year as a man. Sorry, you're going to see me drinking a lot. Tea if you're sick, by the way. I'm doing my British self today. Oh, yes. I'm a coffee drinker, not a tea drinker, but when I'm sick, I drink tea. So anyway, back, I believe it was 2006, and she did a book on it and basically talked about how horrible it was, that she had no idea. And I've read the book. It's fascinating. I don't remember the title or the author right now, and I apologize for that. But if you have not read it, go read it. Go read it. Go read it. It doesn't matter whether you're a man or woman. It doesn't matter what your position is on men's issues, women's issues, or whatever. It's a fascinating read, because if you read the book and with an open mind and really listen to what she's saying, and I've read it a couple of times, it was not just eye-opening for her, but even me. I live as a man, right? I was like, yeah, that I never realized that. There was some things in there that I didn't even realize. It's eye-opening. Ultimately, she ended up unaliving herself because of it. And I'm aware of another situation similar to that, where it's not a book or anything like that, where a woman lived as a man and she lasted about a month. And then basically said, oh, I can't do this. And then I actually, just this past, while I was laying in bed all weekend, I saw somebody had done I think it was an Instagram, might have been a TikTok, where she had created a male profile on a dating site, right? I should have saved it and probably played off of it a little bit, where, she pretended to be a man on a dating site and saw what men go through on those dating sites, which is fascinating. It's got me kind of thing. I have no interest in dating. I'm not interested, nothing, but I thought about trying the same experiment just to see what would happen. But, yeah, I have seen it. It's a book I highly recommend. If somebody can chime in with the title on it and the author. I mean, it's a fascinating read. I'm still looking for that other. This is why I need one of my other things for 2024. I need a producer, okay, or a PA if you prefer, personal assistant. For for the radio thing that I do, we have a producer that does the majority of the stuff that you see me doing right now. I just sit and talk with my co-hosts, right? Co-host. She does all the work for us. And we had another producer before her who was fantastic too. They do all the hard work. If you're ever watching a TV show, radio show, whatever, the hosts, the celebs, so to speak, they ain't really doing much work. I'm going to tell you right now. The ones doing the actual work are the people behind the scenes. On TV, you've got, well, they don't use them anymore because it's all remote control, but they used to have the cameraman, the audio engineer, the producer, director. If you ever want to be fascinated, by the way, go to your local TV station, reach out to them, say, hey, can I come in and get a tour? Not always, but a lot of them will allow you to do that. They're pretty open to it. And they'll show you. And it'll blow your mind how much I've done radio and TV, so I know, but before, way back when, I did a tour with my son because he was thinking about a weatherman and all that, and I got to sit there through the whole weather forecast, and we stayed for the rest of the show after that, and it opened my eyes, and this 40 years ago. So all right, so anyway, I know I'm going to babble a little bit today, but that's what I do. Like I said, this is for you guys. If you want to ask me questions today, if you want to talk about what your plan is for 2024, I've kind of given a couple of my things already. See, the Instagram waved like literally 200 waves. I'm not joking either. All right. Saw that one. Again, I apologize. I'll catch up on my TikTokers. I got nobody on YouTube today, which is odd. Maybe YouTube's not happy with me for some reason. Gothmog said, I'm going to be doing my post-grad in law. That's my plan. I worked in a law firm for a better part of a year. For those of you old enough to remember LA Law, I worked in this law firm in the 2000s. I went in to revamp their network and all that, and I swear it was LA Law. This partner was sleeping with that secretary. Oh my God, I knew it all. It was great. What kind of, so Gothma, what law are you planning to pursue? Family law, civil, whatever. I'm curious. I'd like to know. And what's your plan afterward, right? If you're going to study, obviously. Michael Urich asked, do you believe in separation? Good question. So I'm assuming you mean trial separation before a divorce. I'm mixed on it. I do think it depends on the couple. Let me say that. And it depends on the situation, right? My experience, I've never personally tried it, right? Both my divorces were cut and dried. Those relationships ended. There was no trial separation. There was no intention of it. But having worked with a ton of guys who've tried it, having read up a little bit about it, talked with therapists, it can be useful. Yes, absolutely it can. That said, the majority of the time, my personal experience, I have no data to support it. Just me, from what I've seen, is it basically leads to a breakup. Once you do that actual separation, I'm not saying it doesn't, people don't come back together. They absolutely do. But the majority of, from what my experience is, the majority of the time, they don't get back together. And there's, again, I'm certainly not portraying I'm an expert on it. And I'm talking a general separation, not a legal separation, which is a whole other ballgame, right? That's prelude to a divorce. I'm talking about you're having some issues. Maybe you're seeing a therapist. Maybe you're talking amongst yourself. Why don't we try separating for a few weeks, see how it goes? If you've tried everything else, is it worth a shot? Yes, I would say it is. I wouldn't use it as my first choice to fix things. Personally, this is me personally, right? I would say, you've tried everything else. You've done therapy. Try it. The people that have succeeded with it, the majority of the time, I think they realized how much they missed each other. That was the feedback I got, right? Because when you go through a divorce, and those of you that have been divorced know, it's a death, right? It's like losing a family member through death. You're going to mourn and all that. The thing I see, and this is, again, opinion only, when you do a separation, we're only going to separate for 2 weeks. Well, that doesn't, you already know you're getting back together in 2 weeks, right? 4, 6 weeks, I don't know. You've got to get past that point. like Toby just commented, I have trial separation. My ex used it to find a different guy and take me to the cleaners. I've heard that more often than not, to be honest with you, right? That's what happens. I've also heard where the guy does the same thing, by the way. Another point that was made, trial separation is usually a trap to get the man out of the house. The divorce will be bad with him. Yes, I can't say that can't happen, right? I would set some very specific parameters, and I would run it by a lawyer, setting all that aside. But going back to my point I was making, which is if you've tried everything else, why not try it as a last-ditch effort? Because you may find, you know what, you start going, oh, shit, I miss her. Or maybe it isn't that bad. People often have the grass is always greener on the other side scenario, right? Oh, I'll be able to do whatever I want, blah, 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 blah. And then reality hits them smack in the face. Post-divorce, you see it all the time, right? The guys that I work with that are going through divorces, we talk about that. It's one of the things I talk about with them is, how you doing, right? It's a big change. You've gone from having someone who's your partner, who you share chores with, you share taking care of the children and all that. And I know the women are going to go, well, we do all that. Now, men do their share more than their share. It smacks you in the face. In that particular case, it may work, Again, I wouldn't make it my first choice. I would definitely make it my last, but I'm not against it. All right. Love these questions. Again, thank you for the badge purchase. Who else am I missing here? I see don't worry, my TikTokers, I'm getting to you. G-Light, again, what's a plan without action, right? That's the next step, right? I was just saying, if you want to accomplish anything in life, whatever it is, step one is defining what it's going to be. I'm going to put on my trainer hat now, or my headband. I got one up there. I'm just going to use weight loss because it's the most common resolution. Let's say you decide, I want to lose weight. Well, how much weight do you want to lose? That's one, right? Define it. Don't just say, I want to lose weight. Take the next step. I want to lose 15 pounds. Okay. How long do you think it's going to take you to do that? And the first question everybody says to me is 2 weeks. No. Realistic number is a pound a week, right? So 15 weeks, 4 months is realistic, right? And if you want to keep it off, it's really the way to go. Then next step. Okay. So you've defined what you're going to do. You're going to start in January. What day are you going to start? January 2nd. I don't know. I'm picking a date. All right. So we're going to do this through April. What's your plan? All right. I'm going to go to the gym. Well, how often are you going to go to the gym? What days? What times? All that stuff. Set them as appointments in your phone, right? This is what I do with my clients. All right. We go through the whole, I'm shortening all this. It's much longer what I do with them. All right. We've got our workout program together. All right. What are you going to do about eating? Well, I'm just going to try and eat better. No, you're not going to try and eat better. You might do it for a few days, but then the weekend's going to come along and, the wife's going to say, hey, let's go out to eat, or your bud's going to call up and go, hey, let's go get a beer. Next thing you know, you've blown the whole thing. No, I'm going to have this, and this, meals at morning, noon, evening, whatever. I'm trying to really simplify this. Morning's going to be a mix of 3 or 4 meals. Lunch is going to be a mix of, and get a few different things. Don't just, pick one. That whole, 2 shakes and a sensible meal at the end of the day, slim fast thing is a load of crap. Don't waste your time with that shit. All right. And then from there, all right, you're going to do that. What about the days, let's say, do you have any events coming up? Well, I got a wedding in February. Well, what's your plan for that? Right. That's the next step. Once you have that plan written out, then to go to Digilite's, point, next is the action, right? A resolution or a weight loss plan, it's not nothing if you don't make the plan, and it's even less if you don't take action. So great point that you made. I love that. Love it. See, this is why I like doing this. Andrew from Earth. I would like to figure out how to do video editing and content creation. It's proving to be more difficult than I anticipated. I have plenty of content ideas, just want to get better at Final Cut Pro. I have never used Final Cut Pro, so I can't speak to it. For the majority of, and I'm not doing this, I don't get paid for it. The majority of my editing is done on Filmora. I've been using it for, I think, 5 years now. I love the program. I have used CapCut. If I'm on my phone, I have the Filmora mobile, but I tend to use CapCut occasionally too. the key I would say to you, sorry, I forgot your name, Andrew, is just do it, right? So action speaks further than words, right? So when I started out doing videos many years ago, most of them were in the fitness realm before I jumped into this. And I know the fitness world. I'm very good at it. Like I said, I've done radio and TV, so I'm very comfortable in front of a camera, if you can't tell. A lot of people aren't. So to overcome your fear, the best way to do it is to just effing do it, right? Stop thinking about it, just do it. One of the things my guests tell me on the podcast, because I ask for feedback, definitely, by far the biggest feedback I get is that I make them feel comfortable. And it's because I'm comfortable. It's nothing special about me, but I've been in front of 5,000 people playing guitar. I have done talks in front of 1,000 people, hundreds of people, many, many, many times. I have no fear whatsoever of stage fright. None. In fact, the opposite, all right? I'm a stage whore. So that's step one, right? Is if you have the content ideas, just do them. The way to get better is to just do them. I go back, I have my old videos still up on various places, YouTube and all them. Facebook, did Facebook lives for many times in the fitness world. They're horrible. They look like crap. They sound like crap. The lighting is horrendous. It's still not perfect, right? If you notice, for all I do, I could do much better if I just don't have, I'm not on that inclination or the money to spend out for a big thing, right? The camera I use cost $150. I have one light box above me. I have another 2 lights here, and I have my ring light that's not on right now. Probably spent $400 or $500 for all of it. But I did that, and then I just started making videos, and I learned from it. That's the thing I would tell you, right? Is just do it. Screw up, enjoy the screw ups. What I have found, not so much in this space, the men's space, but definitely in the fitness one, is the more I screwed up, the more followers I got. Because I would laugh about it, right? And you'll see me sometimes on the lives. I'll mispronounce something and I'll just crack up about it, right? It makes you who you are. Content is the key. Content is king, right? But it's you that makes the decision whether someone's going to listen to you or not. It honestly is. Just be yourself. Don't put on airs. I certainly don't, right? I am who I am. I don't apologize for it. I don't care what anybody thinks about me. And I have my detractors. Oh, you all know that, right? But that's part of the game. So that would be my best advice to you. All right. I think I'm pretty much caught up on Insta. If I missed somebody on Insta, I'll circle back on them. All right. Let me jump over to my TikTokers. By the way, open chat, but let me know what you're looking to get done in 2024. And if you're looking for advice, you got a trainer here if you want to ask me. I don't normally do this in this space, so but I'm willing to do it. So Logical, how you doing, bud? I've really scrolled back. First, hi, question mark, hi, exclamation. I got it, don't worry. I'm a horrible typer myself. Greetings from Germany, Starchild. What part of Germany? Guten Tag, wie geht's? I always say to my German friends. Javi said, keep preaching and fighting the good fight. James said, how are you doing, boss? As I said earlier, just to kind of reiterate, I feel like crap right now. I'm being honest with you. I'm probably going to start sweating because I think I have a little bit of a fever still. But I'm here fighting the fight. It sucks not feeling great, but it is what it is. You just got to power through, right? Toby, I just messaged you. You have changed my life in the way I have been treated. Well, thank you, Toby, for saying that. By the way, I normally talk about this at the end, but if you guys are DMing me, I have to tell you, and I really feel bad right now. I get hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of DMs a day. I miss a lot of things. All right. I didn't even look at my phone most of the weekend, so I'm way behind, and I probably will never catch up on that. So if you do try and reach out to me and I don't respond, I apologize up front. It's just the nature of the beast. I do what I can. Usually when I jump on TikTok, I don't go on TikTok. People always ask me, where do you get your video ideas from? Well, the primary thing I do is the give and takes on YouTube and TikTok and Instagram. Those are sent to me by followers, right? So I have certain people that send me the bulk of them. And every once in a while, like I said, I'll jump in, usually I'm loading a video. All right, let me look at the comments or let me look at the DMs and all that. And I'll see some other ones. But I have a few people that just feed me stuff. And I play off of that. But I don't spend a lot of time on social media. I don't have that kind of time. Nor, to be honest with you, I have somebody, somebody was taking shots at me on, I think it was YouTube yesterday. And, I was playing the game for a little bit because I like to feed the trolls every once in a while. But then I said, well, I'm going to go chill. Came back a few hours later, checked my email, and there's a bunch of emails from the guy going, well, you walked away. I got you and all that. And I just laughed because it's like, no, dude, I have a life. You clearly don't. He had sent dozens of messages to me. So anyway, Virgil, hello, fellow boomer. Salute. Viking Jesus. Love that. You ever play guitar in live? I have played so many gigs, it isn't funny. Hundreds, probably thousands. I was in bands for years. When my kids were born, I got out of that all because when you have young kids trying to, if you've ever been in a band, you know what I'm talking about, but you got to do your load in at the bar, right? I played primarily in bars. You might be going on at 10 o'clock. So your load in could be at 6 at night, depending on when the bar owner wanted you there, or it might be at 8 or 9 o'clock at night. You load in, you set up, sound check, play your show, which is 4 hours in our case. That was what our contract was for. Get done at 2 a.m., have to load out. I would get home 5, 6 a.m. So once the kids were born, I had to walk away from it. But I played bass through the 80s primarily, and then switched to guitar. Played through the 2000s, 2010s. I got out of it about 7 years ago. Haven't gotten back in. But yes, I have played live many, many times. I love it. Like I said earlier, I'm a stage whore. I had wireless sets when they first came out because I was able to, it was cool to me to be able to walk out in the audience, play guitar, I'm certainly not a rock star, but it was kind of cool. I'd be in the bar. I'd walk up to the bar and I'd be playing, that kind of stuff. Plus I get free drinks that way. All right. Next question, Jay. How do you know if a relationship is worth saving or breaking? Wife and I have been fighting. Ooh. Well, I'm not a relationship coach. I make that very, very clear. I do talk about relationships often. The advice I would have for that question is, one, you need to take some time, day, week, whatever. It's unique to you. Just go somewhere. Park. In my case, I live near a beach. I'd go down to the beach, plop a chair down, and just think it through. I am a big believer in doing T-squares, pros, cons. Left side are pros, right side is cons. And I would list things. Here's the positives of staying together. Here's the negatives of staying together. All right. And then I would rank them. This is me. This is what I did in the past, to be honest with you. That's why I'm using it. All right. I have 10 positives and 7 negatives. And then, so I have 17. Well, I'm going to rank those things 1 through 17. And then for me, it was make my decision off that. That's how I would do it. I don't like to tell people a specific way of doing it. That's just a suggestion. You are the only one that knows, my friend, right? You're it. The best piece of advice I can give you is sit down and talk to her. And don't be afraid to be honest and go, you know what? We need to decide if this is worthwhile. Here's what's, and again, you don't want to be angry when you do it. You don't want to be accusatory. Women respond to feelings. Keep that in mind, right? Guys, we suck at feelings. Generally, I'm generalizing, right? We suck at them. What we're better at is expressing specifically what we're dealing with or what we're feeling. Women are better at having feelings, and I would honestly say better at expressing them, but they don't go A, B, C. They go A to F to G to the number 12 and back, right? That's where, and it may be you do your list and show it to her. Here's my thing. Here's what I'm thinking. Here's that. Have that conversation. The biggest thing that leads to breakups, therapists will tell you this. In my own experience, I will tell you this. And it's not just husband, wife, or dating. I've seen it with bands, to be honest with you, right? Kind of tying in with that is not communicating, right? Bands are not much different than marriages. And, I had this is years ago. We had a great band and we were starting to pop a little bit, right? Um, the lead singer was not happy. He was very. We said he had LSD, which if you've been in bands, you know what I'm talking about. LSD is lead singer disease, right? He thought he was God's gift to the world. This is back. This is how far back it was. Guns N' Roses was popping, and he thought he was going to be the next Axl Rose, right? And he was a very good singer in every way, very good singer. Um, but he didn't communicate with us, right? And basically, he wanted to do more edgier stuff. We did a mix of covers and originals, probably 50-50 in that area, somewhere in there. And he wanted to do more originals, and he wanted to go a little bit, let's call it edgier, right? Rockier. Because we had a good mix. But he never communicated with us. Well, one time he comes in, because this is all before email or even cell phones or any of that. We're in practice, which was in a shed in the middle of nowhere, and says, I'm quitting today. This is it. I'm done. And we're like, what are you talking about? Because he never communicated any of his feelings with us. And then he told us that stuff. And we're like, well, we don't have a problem with that. You want to go more originals? Let's do it. Let's write some new songs. In fact, I had a couple ready to go. It just needed him to add lyrics to them and stuff like that. But he had already made up his mind at that point, right? So that relationship was broken. It was already broken before we had the conversation. And I still, to this day, he ended up moving to LA, and I've lost track of him, but I kept up with him for a couple of years. He never went anywhere in LA. You know, we were in upstate New York, getting big because it's called Smallbany. Albany, New York is called Smallbany as a joke because it is small, right? As far as they think it's a big town, it's not. But he thought he was going to go out to LA and become Axl Rose, and he ultimately failed miserably. Had he stayed in New York, would we have become a huge rock band? No, we wouldn't have, right? We weren't going national or any of that. But we had fun. We made a decent amount of money, right? It wasn't a job, but he blew it all up. But that kind of, there was more to it than that, but it kind of gives you an idea. Anyway, so last Ronan asked why women get mad at double standard, but it inherently benefits them. So I think what you're talking about, Ronan, is that I do a thing called Did You Ever Notice? Which is done on YouTube Shorts, Instagram in the mornings, and also on my Men Need to Be Heard Too, TOO channel. So, and I talk about double standards, and ooh, baby, do they stir shit up. Ooh, I swear. I mean, they stir it up, right? So why do they get mad about it? They get mad about it because they know the double standards exist. They know, I know my content hits home with them when they get mad at me for saying it. Because that's what they're trying to do. They want to silence it because they don't want to deal with it because they know it's true. And I'm not going to get into specific, go watch the videos if you want to get an idea of it. But it's just hilarious. I love the hell out of them, to be honest with you. I'm probably going to take a little bit of a break from them because I've done hundreds of them at this point. But it's just it's fun. It's fun. But anyway, Greg from Tampa. Hey, bud. Lots of king. Thank you for all the crowns, by the way. Matty boy, thank you for the roses. Toby, again, thank you for subscribing. Yeah, guys, I do subscribers. I do special videos that are subscriber only. Just telling you. In fact, I'm going to be releasing one tomorrow. And I've got another one, my holiday one, going out next week. Which reminds me real quick, I will be live next Wednesday, and that'll be the final live till the end of the year. I'm taking a couple of weeks off after that. But yeah, so thank you, Toby. Let me just jump back to Instagram. I think I'm pretty well caught up. If anybody knows how to stop the waves on Instagram, not that I don't like them. I love seeing people joined and waving and all that, but they want me to wave back is basically. But I don't need to know everybody that joined. I want to know what you have to say. So if you know a way for me to do that, let me know. All right. Scrolling back here. It's interesting how the different ways YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram handle their lives. I wish they would get their asses together and kind of settle on something. I use different softwares. I have tried, the all-in-one types. The problem is, like, for example, TikTok doesn't like some of them. Or Maybe TikTok likes that one. YouTube doesn't like that. There's no great one. If anybody's got a suggestion that works with all of them and still see all the interaction, because I do this to interact with people. And again, if you know where I can find an assistant that'll work for free, because right now I can't afford to pay somebody. Virgil, great comment. So he was replying, you need to sit and have face-to-face with the wife and discuss your questions, fears, and wants. Exactly. Great advice. Great advice. So John said, I don't want to miss your podcast. So again, when I do the lives, right, on TikTok and Instagram, they're available for a little bit, but then they go away. They're up on YouTube. You can go see all my lives up on YouTube. Watch the other two shut me down for promoting YouTube. Also, my podcast is up. It's on YouTube, Spotify. I have it up on Rumble, Apple, and a few others. So you can go listen to the older ones there. And I got some really good ones coming up. I've got most of January and early February already booked out. I've either got the shows recorded or I'm about to. Like I said, I'm going to take a couple week break, but I've got amazing guests lined up. Some big names too. So yeah, if you're worried about missing them, put a little tickler in your phone, first of all. But the podcast goes up Sundays at 11. Again, it's on hiatus till the end of the year or the beginning of New Year. But yeah. Craig said Sunday evenings after the weekend's mistakes could discuss recovery plans. Craig, I'm not sure. I'm assuming you're talking about like something like weight loss. I'm not sure what you're talking about. I must have missed something. If you could clarify it, bud, I would be more than happy to input on that. Sunday evenings after the weekend's mistakes could discuss recovery plans. Sorry, dude. Handsome, I watch your videos and you're absolutely right with my views. My views, to be honest with you, are mostly your guys' views, right? One thing that I find very interesting is that, I get a lot of feedback from men, of course. That's who my primary audience is, about, what I talk about and all that. And the thing though, you're speaking for me, kind of like some of the things you said here, right? And I appreciate the hell out of it. But what's interesting to me is I get feedback from women, a lot of feedback, who are like, do guys all really think that way? And I'm like, yeah, they do. I'm parroting what they tell me. It's funny how, I'll get the critics that'll come in, and like, those are your views. You're just a bitter old lonely man, which is all laughable, right? But I'm like, have you tried reading the comments? There was one video I did a couple months back that went pretty far, right? A couple million views. And I was getting slammed by women coming in going, you're wrong. That's not how it is. And I'm like, go read the comments. Because it's not just me saying it. There were literally tens of thousands of men going, yep, that's me. I agree, all that stuff. And the other side of it is I get the positive response from women on what, geez, I was reading the comments and I listened to what you said and holy crap, I had no idea. Again, one of the reasons I do what I do. I'm not about trying to break anything, breaking relationships or all that crap. I talk about it, don't get me wrong. My goal is education and helping primarily men see the real world, right? Which is why I do what I do, but also letting women see it. And I've got some videos coming out that I recorded a couple weeks ago that I know the women are going to get upset about it because it's going to hit home with them, right? Because they're going to be like, I don't like what he's saying, because they're facing reality. And it's not to hurt them in any way. Sometimes they can't see past that. But when I talk about that stuff and I get those kind of responses, it's why I do what I do. Stop following. Can you see blocked messages? You mean if I block someone, can I see their messages? No, you wouldn't. Depends. Every platform's different, but once you block someone, you block someone. Let's get this man some love. You just did. So one thing I do ask is if you're enjoying this, please give it a like. Feel free to share it. Help me out. The algorithms are very much against what I do. I talk about this often. If you're enjoying it, give me a like. It makes me feel good. It gives me that dopamine hit that I always talk about with people. John, when I look at him, it's like looking in the mirror. You're as beautiful as I am. I mean, let's face it. It's tough being this good looking, but I carry it well. I'm kidding. Tad, dating ain't worth it anymore. See, that's, it's funny because what Tad's saying, right? I talk about dating a lot. I'm not a relationship coach. I don't pretend to be one. I'm more of helping guys get through divorces coach. And it's not trying to help them overcome the divorce and go find another relationship, although in many cases I do help them. It's more about making smart moves during their divorce from a layman's perspective, because lawyers sometimes aren't acting in their best interest. And that's what I do with them. But I'm seeing more and more men, and I talk about this all the time. Dating is not worth it anymore. I'm a huge fan of dating, to be honest with you. I believe in relationships. I believe in marriage. People are like, you do not. I do. Well, why do you talk so negatively about it? I talk about it because the reality is right now for men, it's too dangerous. Right? I've done videos on this recently. Even something as simple as asking a woman out is fraught with danger now. So back in the day, mind you, I'm 60, let's say you were working, right? I worked back in the 80s and early 90s. I worked in a huge office. There were several hundred workers there, right? And there might have been a woman, she's, if I were single, oh, geez, she's nice. You might go up to her and say, hey, how you doing, blah, blah, blah. Get to know one another. You might eventually want to ask her out, right? That's what we did back then. This was pre-dating apps, pre-cell phones, all that stuff, right? Pre-computer, pre-internet. That's kind of how you met someone. Same thing with college, right? You would go up to, you meet a girl in class, you get to know one another, you might hang out at the local bar or whatever, and then you ask her out. Well, that right now is a huge risk for a guy, because college scenario in particular, you ask the wrong girl out, she's going to claim you harassed her, and now you're out of college. You do that in a workplace, you're going to get called into HR. It is too risky right now. It's not worth it, and guys have realized that. And that's the point I make. Tad, my plans are the same as always. Nothing except work. Good one. I like that one. Craig put, hopefully putting my son through his diploma at work, getting fully qualified. That's the goal. Love it. So you got the goal. How are you going to do it? That's the next thing. You don't have to answer me. Answer yourself, right? I love the idea, right? You've got your goal. How are you going to do that? What's the specifics? And then, obviously, the next part is making it happen. John, having to deal with a narcissistic ex in child custody. Can you speak on that? Talk about it all the time, my friend. So, dealing with, let me step back first. I'm learning more and more how much I'm starting to despise the term narcissist, because it's getting overused. Any flaw in a human being now, they're a narcissist. It's not. True narcissism, I've dealt with people like that. That is a whole other level. If you've ever dealt with a true narcissist, you'll know it. Like, really know it. And I'm not an expert on it, but I've dealt with a couple in my life, and holy crap, right? In fact, I was just dealing with one on Elon's World over the last couple of weeks, and she's a nut job, right? Even, a true narcissist, you can show them facts, data, and all that. They cannot get out of themselves, right? They're still right, you're still wrong. Having said that, dealing with an ex, especially when it comes to child custody, is very difficult. First thing I would tell you, and I tell my guys, is take a step back. Take a few days. Step back. Just step back. Because the stress, obviously, right? You're dealing with stress. Your emotions are ginned right up. Do something to kind of just separate yourself. Just a couple of days, right? My case, it might be I like to hit the gym or play guitar. I might take a weekend trip, something like that. Might go hang out at the beach for a couple of days, right? Which is like a 10-minute walk from here. And really just settle. Then use that time to go, all right, here's the situation. Here's what I'm dealing with. What can I do best? I will tell you, my belief is if you're dealing with a child custody issue, you need to have an attorney. And I have represented myself many times in court. But I believe when it comes to things like child custody, and false allegations of abuse or anything like that, you need an attorney, because one screw up and you lose and you're screwed, right? So if you're dealing with a true narcissistic ex, you need to have the conversation with yourself. Here's what do I want to accomplish? Well, I want to get full custody. I want to get whatever, right? Establish that. Kind of like the planning we're talking about. What is it you want to accomplish? How's the best way to approach that? You'll see me fall back to this all the time. It's how I live my life. It's why I get so much done. And then, all right, I need a lawyer. I'm going to do the research and find a good lawyer that handles this type of thing. Big mistake I see guys make all the time is they just take the phone book. That's how old I am. Or they take their phone, the first divorce attorney that comes up, they grab it. Or, their buddy goes, oh, I use Jane the lawyer for my attorney. She's great. Go use her. No, she may be great. I'm not saying she's not. She may not be the good lawyer for you, right? Do your research. Then start moving forward and have an honest conversation with the lawyer. This is what I want to accomplish. Let's say I want full custody because she's, a narcissist and she's abusive to the kids and whatever. Worst case scenario type thing. All right. Well, here's what a good attorney will go. All right, we can try. Here's what the reality is. Here's what we're going to have to do. And oh, by the way, it's going to cost you 6 figures or whatever, right? That's how you want to approach it and then go from there. And that, by the way, that's how I would handle any divorce. Chris said trial separation, we were talking about it earlier, is usually a trap to get the man out of the house. The divorce will be bad for him. Yeah, it can be, right? We talked about that earlier. Cover yourself. So if you're going to do a trial separation, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not giving legal advice, but I would reach out to a lawyer and go, all right, we're trying a trial separation. We don't want a legal separation, 2 different things, but I want to make sure she can't change the locks and not let me back in. How do I protect myself? Or you have her leave. Again, I'm not against trial separations, but they may be the absolute last thing. And yes, you are taking the risk. She's going to change the locks. And possession, and unfortunately, is 9/10 of the law. Melinda said trial separations are a no for me. Haven't seen one work so far. I have seen them work. Very few, far between. Blizzard said, love your videos. Wonderful to hear someone call out the BS. Well, that's what I do. And I like to say I'm pretty good at it. I want to go back because last Ronan asked me a question. What made you decide to do this show? So the reason I do my show, I'm done with all family law and divorce and dating and all. That's all behind me. I don't need to do, I'm done with it, right? Life is good for me right now. But I feel obligated to help the younger guys out primarily, right? So I do my show to educate younger men and younger women, by the way, primarily. I want to help people. Being that I've been a trainer for decades, it's kind of an offshoot of that. I've been involved in this type of stuff for it'll soon be 28 years. Once January flips over, it'll be 28 years I've been doing this. I get personal fulfillment out of it. As I talked about a lot earlier, right? When a guy reaches out to me and goes, or the comments you guys make even here, right? You really helped me. That's why I do it. That's what made me decide to do this or take it up another notch this way. I used to do a lot of behind the scenes. I've done lobbying. I lobbied for years and years. All that stuff. But this was, during the pandemic, I had stepped away for a while because I needed a break. During the pandemic, gyms were closed, right? So I said, yeah, let me jump in. So I got back on, this is when, for me, TikTok was brand new. And I started doing TikTok videos out of nowhere. The first couple channels I had got banned. So you can never see those videos. And I never saved them. I wish I had them because I made some really good videos. But anyway, so that's why I do what I do. And then it's been the feedback from you guys that's got me to do things like the podcast itself and the live. This live is because you guys asked for it. So if there's things you want me to do, I never say no. I'll always listen. I'll never say no, but I will take it under consideration. All right. Ronan also asked, what would make dating worth it? Look, there are some good women out there. In fact, the majority of them are, right? People have asked me many times, what's the numbers? Well, I don't think there are numbers out there, but I would put it somewhere around 80 to 85% of women are damn good. Not just good, damn good. They're as frustrated right now as men are. It is broken. It is honestly at this point broken beyond repair, in my opinion. Because it's been generational that this has happened. It started in the 70s primarily. 50 years of this. It's going to take another 50 to change it. What would make it worth it? Finding the right person. When you have the right person, you'll know. And I know people are going to come back, well, yeah, she was the right one, and then her friends got involved. Yeah, it does happen. I'm not saying it doesn't, but you get that right person, that person you know has your back, the person that's going to stand by you no matter what, that's going to support you no matter what, that doesn't care how much money you make or any of that crap that you hear all the women, younger women talking about now. That is what makes dating worth it. The problem is the risk right now. The reward is that. It's risk versus reward. The risk right now is literally you could end up in jail. You approach the wrong woman. She takes it the wrong way. She files a false allegation that you assaulted her. You could end up in jail. And I've interviewed guys on the podcast that have had that happen. Don't think it doesn't happen. It happens more than you know. Way more than people have no clue what's going on with false allegations. So yeah, it is worth it. I don't know the short-term fix. I honestly don't know. I've been racking my brain, to be honest with you. I think what's going to happen, I'm starting to see, and I've talked about this before, men have woken up and women are starting to go, oh shit, all right. In fact, they're in some cases panicking, like they're really walking away. They want nothing to do with us. I haven't been asked out on a date. I had one that not too long ago reached out to me. This guy hasn't approached me in 3 years. And she's an attractive woman. Don't kid yourself. This girl she's late 30s, single, great career, seems very nice, beautiful woman. I mean, beautiful woman. She goes, guys don't even talk to me. Why? Why won't they approach me? Am I doing something wrong? And she seemed nice enough. She may be, right? I don't know her, but I said to her, it's probably not you. It's the situation. The risk for that reward is simply too great. I always tell people, if you had to cross a bridge and at the end of that bridge there was $1 million, but there was a 1 in 5 chance you were going to get across, 4 in 5 that you were going to fall off that bridge and lose your life, would you do it? Some will, some won't, some will debate on it. That's kind of what I'm saying right now. All right. I love how you guys do this stuff. Love these questions. Keep them coming, guys, right? Ton of waves on Insta. Again, thank you for all the gifts, everyone. I appreciate it. I'm just doing a blanket one right now. I think I'm caught up on Insta. Let me jump back over to TikTok. Again, open question. And if you want to throw out, what are your goals, plans? If you want to use, I hate the term resolutions. You want to throw that out? What's your goal for 2024? I've mentioned most of mine at this point. I want to help more of you. That's basically, in a nutshell, what it would be. Jay Smartass. Fellas, the best way to not get taken cleaner is not get married in the first place. He's not wrong right now. The way things are, he's not wrong. But marriage isn't even the problem. It's relationships. You don't have to be married to lose everything. Just saying. Angel said, what do you believe is the biggest double standard that men face, the most women laugh at and deny? Ooh, I got to think about that one. And I see right after that, Jay put domestic violence. That was actually my first inclination. I don't disagree with that one. But I have another one I kind of, I'll put right with it. I think I don't know if it's so much of a double standard, but it's a belief. And maybe it is a double standard. I think that most, like the overwhelming majority, like a huge number of women, literally believe men cannot take care of themselves. Can't feed themselves, can't do laundry, can't clean a house. I can't tell you how much I hear about that. It's something I hear every single day. I hear it in general conversation. I hear it in the media. I hear it here on social media. I see it in comments. I get it in DMs and emails and all that crap. They've been so conditioned to believe that men are complete bumbling idiots, incapable of it. So much so, this kind of ties in with the narcissism I talked about earlier, that even when you show them that men are capable, they can't see it. I haven't dated in years. I will tell you, women would walk into my apartment back in the day and just look around, because my house and apartment has always been immaculate. I have OCD. My house is kept clean. What you see behind me is about as dirty as it's been, and I don't know how long, and it's driving me nuts because I dust every week. I do all that stuff. I can outcook pretty much anyone out there except maybe a 4-star rated chef. I'm a phenomenal cook. I'm smart. I'm intelligent. All that. Guess what? I'm not special. I'm every guy. We all can do those things. But women really don't believe we're capable of it, that we need mommies is the term they'll use. Oh, you just need mommies. So I kind of think that one I'm going to put even ahead of domestic violence, although it's a great answer, Jay. I just think that for generations now, the media has portrayed men as idiots. Politicians do it. Women from moms to grandma to mom to the current, generation. Oh, I have to do everything around the house. No, you don't. That's, I think, I would put that number one right now. My opinion. Anyway, what do you think? Anybody else would argue against that? Angel asked, curious to know what my origin story is and how I came to talk about men's issues advocacy. I've talked about this many times before, but I'll answer it again, Angel, because I like you, bud. It all starts with my first divorce. So I was married. We had 4 children together. We had issues. I'm not going to say we didn't. There was domestic violence, and I was the victim. But I was doing what I could to try and make it work. And one May 3rd, 1995, I went to work, and we actually worked together. I talked about it earlier. We worked in that building I told you about. She said, I'm not feeling well. I'm going to take the day off. Okay. So where we worked was about 30 miles from where we lived. So, I left the house at about 6:30 in the morning because we had to be to work by 8. I had to stop and get gas and that kind of thing. Got to work because it was about almost an hour commute because it was just a nightmare. But anyway, got home 12 hours later, roughly 6:30 that night, to an empty house. And when I say empty, I had 1 mattress, 1 sheet, 1 pillow, and 1 blanket. And that was it. Every bit of food, every bit of furniture, the washer and dryer, she cleaned it all out. Our bank accounts were emptied. And we had just gotten paid, right? So the money had gone in the account. This is pre-auto deposit, right? We had gotten paid earlier that week. It went in the account because I normally paid the bills on the weekends. She cleaned it all out. I literally was left with nothing. That was my eye-opening. After that, a few weeks after that, went to family court for the first time. And I've talked about this many times. I thought it was going to be the way you see on TV, right? With Law and Order. Back then was a big show. LA Law I talked about, things like that. Family court is nothing like that, not even remotely close to it. And I sat there listening to her lie through her teeth. And ultimately, she got awarded full custody of the kids. And I knew the judge lapped up everything she was saying. Support, all that stuff. And that was my eye-opening. And it was shortly thereafter, because I am not one to take things lying down, I said, all right, we need to change some of this. And that's how I got involved in it and went from there. And other issues that have driven it were my oldest son was diagnosed with ADHD. And they wanted to drug him. And I fought the school tooth and nail, which got me into boys' issues and what's happening in education, which is worse now than it's ever been. My other son, he's a twin with my daughter. They went to school at 5 years old to kindergarten. He was not ready, and I knew it. And I tried to hold him back a year. The school's like, nope, they're coming in together because they were born in September. So they were 4, just turning 5 when they started kindergarten. My daughter was ready. Girls mature faster than boys. That's a reality. He was not. Long story short, we joke about it now. He failed kindergarten, but they were still going to push him through. And I'm like, no, you're not. I went to war with the school and the school board to get him held back. Ultimately, I did. It was the best thing I ever did because he not skated through school afterward, but he was very successful. So that got me into those issues, and it kind of all snowballed from there. So anyway, great questions, guys. Keep them coming. Chicago in the house, South Texas. Willie Brown said, "Bubba, you're awesome." I like Bubba. I wish I had a cool nickname. I don't. My initials are DR. Sometimes people have called me Doctor. I'm like, yeah, I don't like that one. I get called asshole a lot. I always wish I had a cool nickname. I really do. But yeah. So anyway, I think I'm caught up on those two. So let me go back. The reason you see me looking around, I got 3 different cameras. I got 3 different chats going. So apologies. And if I miss something that you're saying, I'm trying to get to them. But sometimes I miss. Toby, I can imagine I'm not thin-skinned. Yeah, thin-skinned is, neither am I, my friend. But Tia, man, great channel. It's time to take our position. Thank you. That's another great thing to talk about. So, because we're talking about 2024. So, hang on. My tea is cold. I love iced tea. By the way, when you're from the north in the States and you move south and you ask for iced tea the first time in the restaurant, if you're ever going to move south, they're going to give you sweet tea unless you tell them otherwise. Oh, man. First time I came here, go to the restaurant. What would you like to drink? Oh, I'll have an iced tea, thinking I'm going to get what I would get up north, which is tea, and then you put your own sweetener in. Lovely young girl, college girl, sweetest waitress ever, right? Brings me the tea. Here you go, sir, blah, blah, blah. I'll be right back, and then I'll take your order. I take 2 sips. She was seeing me out of the corner of her eye in the face that I made. Over she comes. You're from the north, aren't you? And I went, yeah, how'd you know? She goes, because that's sweet tea, and I can tell you don't like it. And I went, yep. And then we had a great conversation after that. I don't know how you people drink it in the South, and I consider myself a Southerner now. I'm a Southerner from another mother, as I say. But anyway, so getting back to 2024, one of the things that I want to try and do, and I'm working with several people behind the scenes, is get men to coalesce together and work together more. One of the issues that we men face that we can't get heard, men need to be heard, is because we don't work together. We all try and do things individually, myself included, right? I work with Veteran Fathers, which is Bill Corbett's group. I work with Sean Kaufman's group out in California, a couple others, right? If you ever want to get information on them, just go into my bio, go into the link tree, scroll down. There's links to them. I call my partners. We need to come together as one voice. Because until we do, nothing's going to change for men, right? And until we overcome the I'm too busy working, or I don't have any money, or all the other BS excuses men use and have used for 30 years now. If you gave $1 a year, every guy, things would change, but they won't do it. $1 a year. I appreciate the support I get from followers. It's not a huge number. There's other women out there speaking in this space who are great. I'm not knocking them. They're making bank. They have tons of subscribers. I'm not knocking them in any way, but they're not trying to move men's issues forward. Guys like me, guys like Bill, guys like Sean, we struggle like hell. I would love to be able to go to Washington, D.C. and lobby. I live in North Carolina. I would love to go to Raleigh and get shared parenting in North Carolina. And I do believe I could get it. I've got enough connections. But I don't live in Raleigh. It takes time and money. I'm not wealthy, but I'm not poor either. I can't pour hundreds, if not thousands of dollars a month into this. If we had the support, and the way I always say to guys is think about this. If I say, what's the women's group? Most guys will go the National Organization of Women. Now, everybody knows who NOW is. NOW is a fraction of what it used to be. They have no power, really, anymore. Yet they're 100, 1,000 times more powerful than any men's group. Back in the day, they had a ton of power. I went to war with them in New York State trying to get a domestic violence shelter for men. They outraised fundraising. They outraised us literally tens of thousands to one. If they put, because I got in the know, right? They put out an email going, hey, we're trying to block a men's group from getting domestic violence shelter. we need some money to do that. They'd get $1,000, $10,000 like that. We couldn't get anything. That's the problem. So one of the things I want to work on in 2024 is getting guys to start stepping up. Somos, men need to be heard by who? Really? If you don't know, I'm not going to educate you. Word nerd, tell us how to get influence over how judges rule against men in family court. I just told you. The reason things are the way they are is exactly what I just told you. Men do not band together. They're not willing to give support financially, effort-wise, all that stuff. Now, I will tell you right now what they do. Pun intended, now. They will put out the word and say, all right, this judge is starting to favor men. Let's send him a bunch of emails. If they'll do that, right? Or, shared parenting starts moving forward, they'll put out a call to action. They have their groups. Hey, I'm trying to think. New York, because we went against them in New York. We almost had shared parenting. We were damn close because it was the one time we finally got men to take action, and oh my God, it was that close. But they would put out the word, and they'll have 100,000 emails like that, right? They'll say call. They'll get 1,000 phone calls to a legislator like that, like instantly. Men, I'm too busy working, or I'm too tired, or I don't have time, or whatever, right? I have a very famous saying I use. I use it with my training clients primarily, but I'll use it with you guys. Excuses are like assholes. Everybody's got one, and they all stink. Men need to stop making excuses. You want to change what's happening in the courts? We need to be heard, which is why I do what I do. We need to step up. We need to be in judges, not nastily, but if a judge is running, give you a perfect example. In New York, every state's different, but in New York, judges run to be elected in family court. Well, why aren't men, and we did this, going to these judges and saying, what's your platform? And oh, by the way, we're going to tell all our constituents, all the other men that follow us, what it is. Because that's what now does and still does, right? Your senators, your legislators locally, your legislators at the state level, at the federal level. That's what we need to be doing. It takes time. It takes money. It takes effort. Until men decide they've had enough. Another saying I always use with my training clients is, until you've had enough pain, you won't make changes. Well, men apparently haven't had enough pain yet. Apparently, 50 years of losing their children in family court is not enough to get most men to take action and band together. Honest truth. I know it's going to piss some people off, but that's the reality. How many men need to lose their children? How many men need to be turned away from domestic violence shelters before we get more shelters for men? Why aren't we speaking up? There, I'm done pontificating. But yeah, that's the problem. And that's what we need to be doing. So if you want influence over them, what action are you going to take? Angel Warrior, what's your opinion on Fresh and Fit? Can I be honest? Never watched it. I've had people send me shorts. I've never watched it, so I have no opinion. I'm not even sure who's in it, to be honest with you. I don't spend a lot of time online. Stens Moy, you are generalizing about women. Sometimes I am. But let me ask you this. Don't women generalize men nonstop, and haven't they for 50 years? Remember the phrase, it's all men till it's no men? Until you all stop using that, it's fair for us to do the same thing. There's my response. Word nerd, I missed this part. It's not necessarily the law itself, it's the present interpretations. Exactly right. If you read the laws, they're gender neutral. They're not all fair, I'm going to be honest with you. But most of the laws, if you looked at them and actually read the law, the bill, they're not anti-father. It's how they're enforced, how they're interpreted. Exactly right. And until we speak up, it ain't going to change. Jeremy, I got a list of things to do in 2024. Well, what is it? Zardude, what are your thoughts on finding that female mate who is in the similar plane and energy? I agree. And that's what makes it special and worth dating, to go back to what Ronan asked earlier. Honestly, at this point, if I were dating, and I'm not, and understand, I'm older, way older than most of you, okay? If I were re-entering the dating scene, and I will never be again, okay? ever. But if I were to, number one, I wouldn't go on a dating app. I would do what we did back in the day. I would ask my friends and family, hey, you know somebody that might be interested in me? You know what I like? You know someone that has similar interests? That's the other problem I think is happening, is we fall in love with the... Sorry. We fall in love with the physical. I just smacked myself. That was funny. There you go. Cut that out, put it up. You got a free YouTube video. We fall in love with this. We're looking for this. Well, this doesn't last. The attraction doesn't last that long, to be honest with you. And we all physically change as we get older. I actually had hair one time, right? So when we look at it more of who we are, not what we look like, that's where you find much more success. So friends and family are the way to go, right? I think that's what I would do. Now my glasses are all screwed up. All right. God's Biggest Joe's Fresh and Fit podcast. Yeah, I've never seen it. Never watched an episode. I don't even know who's on it, to be honest with you. Zardude, I understand we do not perceive the world the same way and accept it. Are you talking men versus women? We perceive it totally different. And that's a huge, huge issue. Another one, something maybe that would be a good one to add to the 2024 list, is men think completely differently than women. And guess what? That is not wrong. There is nothing wrong with that. Men should think the way they think. Women should think the way they think. When we work together, that's when greatness happens. But we don't want to work together. Women are hardcore. It's going to be our way. Men, we're kind of acquiescing for decades. Now they're going, no, we're not going to do that anymore. We're going to do it our way. That's not going to work long run. I get it with the guys. Totally get it, right? But yeah, it's men have strengths. Women have strengths. Men have weaknesses. Women have weaknesses. In general, because I'm going to generalize, men's strengths are women's weaknesses and vice versa. When we work together, that's how we survived millions of years. And I got a video where I talk about that coming out. It might already be out. I preload them, so I don't remember what's going out when, but I talk about how men and women think differently. And the reason we survived for millions of years is because we worked together. Because if we didn't, we weren't going to survive, right? Feminism pushes that women don't need men anymore. We don't need you. We can do it all ourselves. Well, no, you can't any more than men can do it all ourselves. I know there's arguments both ways, but the reality is, no, you can't, right? Society works better. Society survives if we work together. That's why you see it breaking down, because they've destroyed the family unit. But anyway, Jetnag. I like that one. Your TikToks are excellent. Good job. Thank you. Trippy. Speaking of the podcast, Trippy was on back in, when was it, Trip? August? Go check that one out. She was a hoot. One of my best all year, I have to say. And I'm not saying that because she was on. I think I'm caught up still over here. I'm caught up on YouTube. So I'm watching out of the corner of my eye. Christian, how do you easily shake off all the criticism you face? Do you self-talk? No, I laugh. I really do. I talked to her earlier about the guy, the one crazy nut that came after me not too long ago. And then I had a woman doing the same thing. And they think they're getting me mad. They really do. They think I'm sitting here red-faced, going apoplectic, screaming and yelling at the phone or whatever I'm on. I laugh my ass off at them. I do. I think it is the funniest shit ever. I really do. When somebody comes at me and goes, well, you're bald. Okay. So, guess what? You may be 20 now, but dude, you might be bald in a few years too. So get used to it. Or you're a bitter, old, lonely, sad man. Really? How do you know? I know. No, you don't. You're projecting what you want me to be. When you think of it that way, when those people do what they do, understand this. The trolls, right? We all know the term troll. The people that do that are the ones that are truly, truly miserable. And I talk about this a lot. They're trying to get a dopamine hit, right? They're addicted to the screen, I call it. So they will troll accounts for hours a day trying to get a response. So, and sometimes I like to feed the trolls because I have fun with it. It's funny to me, all right? But they'll come at me and they'll say things, and I'll, sometimes I'll reply back. I actually had a professor, doctor, I won't say his name. You're wrong about everything. Okay, let's have a conversation, dude. And he was a whack job. And he starts quoting me stuff from the 1970s. I'm like, dude, that data, one, is so out of date. Why are you even referencing it? You're a doctorate, really? Two, you're completely wrong. Here's the proof that that was wrong, et cetera, right? This guy's going ballistic. And I'm sitting there laughing at him. But that was his whole life, right? His whole life is attacking people. Forget this space. Look out in the real world, politics. Think about this. Whether you're right, left, center like me, whatever. Have you ever changed one person's mind with all the screaming and yelling? Even one? I guarantee you may think you have, you haven't. I had a very dear friend. We were friends from kindergarten on. 2016, that election, we all know, Trump, Clinton, right? Election happens. Trump gets elected. She messages me. Can you believe this happened? Can I believe it? No, I was as shocked as anyone because I was, right? I remember staying up that night watching it. Well, I know you wouldn't have voted for Trump. I said, well, why do you know that? Blah, blah, blah. I never actually told her who I voted for. I didn't vote for either one. I voted for a third party candidate. All right. I definitely don't like Clinton, and I'm not a fan of Trump. I think some of his policies are good, but I think he's a celebrity, right? And you may like him, and that's fine. She disowned me. Has not spoken to me since then. Friendship of 50 years gone. For what? Why? This is what we're at, right? And that's what these trolls do. So when you have that understanding, it makes it easier to deal with them, my friend. That's where I want to give you that is understand that these people are sad. They're lonely. They're desperate for attention. And sometimes I engage with them. I'm not trying to change their mind. I'm educating you guys, right? So that professor I got into it with over on Elon's World, I had people messaging me, DMing me on there going, geez, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. That's why I do it, right? I had one, like I said, a few days ago, this woman, she was a whack job. And she's attacking me for being a survivor of SA, attacking me for it. And I'm like, you realize what you're doing. So, again, I'm not going to change her mind. I don't care to change her mind, but it educated other people. So that's my advice, my friend, is don't take it so seriously, I guess, in a nutshell. Gabriel, I love in Sweden. I want to go to Sweden so bad, but not in the winter. Flying to Brazil to meet my beautiful Brazilian girls. The differences are huge. Really? I don't know much about Sweden. I haven't talked to many guys from Sweden, but I thought Sweden was pretty good. See, shows you what I know. Bronco, are these women seriously saying they don't look at men lustfully? Yet we can't glance at them. Of course they do. There's another double standard. Maybe I'll use that for did you know. Women are every bit as sexual as men. They really are. They're better at hiding it. I'll give them that for sure. Way better at hiding it. That's why they're way better at cheating too, by the way. Yeah, they don't want to admit it because they've been told not to admit it, right? That, I don't know if it's a positive or negative yet. I think the ball's still out. But one of the positives of feminism was letting women express their sexuality. I think it's gone too far now. But, it's my viewpoint on sexuality in any type, whether you're talking LGBT, whether you're talking, what you do in your bedroom, I don't care. I am so not caring of what anyone does on their own. Just don't shove it in my face is my rule, right? So whatever you want to be or who you want to be, I'm as libertarian as it goes when it comes to that, right? That's your business. I don't care what you do, who you are. That's your business, and just don't shove it in my face because who I choose to be is who I choose to be. Why can't we live together instead of being at war all the time? Wow, you got me going on stuff. Now I'm going to dip it into my radio side a little bit. I got not. Ronan, you still on? I haven't seen you over on YouTube. YouTube's quiet today. Insta, because I only got a couple more minutes here. Unfortunately, I have another appointment after this. Um, Stop following. Ooh, here's a good question. So, what is your 100% truth, and who taught you, life or media? Ooh. Well, first of all, life would have taught me anything, for sure. That I can say with absolute certainty. My 100% truth, I am in control of my own destiny. Yes, there are other influences that can come from the outside world. Yes, there are things that aren't in my control, but how I respond to them is in my control. And that's what got me through my divorce. No matter how bad it gets, you can't control ultimately what a judge does or your ex does. You can't control how your work is treating you and all that per se, right? But you can control how you respond to it. So my 100% truth, and I live my life this way, is I'm going to do what I think is the best for me, and I'm going to live my life that way. That's why I'm as happy as I am. It's why people can't get me. I'm not cancelable because I don't give a shit. You can only cancel someone if they care that you're doing it. I don't. You know, I've been deplatformed. I've lost accounts on TikTok, I don't know, what, 5 times now. I don't give a shit. I just laugh about it and start a new one. You know, it's changing the way you approach life in general. It's not caring what other people think. That's not to say you're trying to be an asshole or mean or all that. You want to care about other people, but stop letting them drive your life for you. You are in control of your life. You make your decisions. You may not be able to change the circumstances per se, but you can change how you respond to them, as I said. And I lived my life by that. Who is the troll in your daily life? Not the one that annoys you, but the one who has put you up. I got so many, dude. It isn't funny. I really don't have a troll per se that I could use, like one. They come and go. And if you're talking about like in personal life, I really don't have any. Going back to what I was just talking about, I do not let negative people into my life. Online, obviously, you're going to deal with it, but I'm talking personal life. If someone treats me bad or, you know, is too demanding on me or whatever, I cut them out, and I am ruthless about it. Ruthless. I will not tolerate negativity in my life. I believe in positivity. I have a huge couple of friends, like my fight or die friends, the 2 of them. I have got people around me all over. I've got clients. I have people that want to work with me as a strength and conditioning coach or weight loss coach. I will not take them on because they're miserable. I'm not going to deal with it. Go do Slim Fast. You know, go do whatever. Do CrossFit or whatever. I'm not knocking any of that stuff. I'm just saying. I only surround myself with positive people. And yes, it helps me to deal with the troll life here online, to go back with that. The attack against boys in education, the schools are getting rid of VOTEC. Yeah, it's one of the things I fought for, and it's one of the things I think more boys need to be doing, by the way. Girls too, but boys in particular. And I use my younger son, as an example, right? He did not go to college. He apprenticed under me in IT. I taught him everything I knew. He went to BOCES, it was called, got a certificate. He now makes more money than probably the other children combined, has the dream life, and never went to college. He went the apprentice, route, that type of stuff. Think about it, long term. Where are the jobs going to be? Not in computers. Long term. If I had a kid who was 15, 16, especially a boy right now, I would tell him become an auto mechanic, a plumber, builder, something like that, because those jobs are going to be around forever and they cannot be replaced with robots for the most part. I'm sorry, a robot's not going to come to your house and fix your plumbing. They may be used to do it, but you're still going to need a plumber. Anyway, just kind of catching up real quick because I only got a couple of minutes. Who do I think is currently doing the most for men in today's society? I don't think there's any one. My number one is Warren Farrell, Dr. Warren Farrell. He's written numerous books. If you actually look right there behind me, right there, there's a whole host of his books. I just bought that shelf cheap. I got it for $10. kind of looks all right. It's crap, but it does the job. That's my number one. I think he's doing the most to raise awareness, and there are people working with him. That would be who I would say. Anyway, I'm pretty much, I know I'm behind on a few messages, but I'm going to call it at that, guys, because I do have to go. I want to say thank you. This was kind of fun. I don't know if we spent too much on 2024, which is what I was hoping, but that's okay. It's fine. This live is for you guys. It's not for me. I do this because I want to interact with you guys. Again, thank you to everyone, for Todd for becoming a subscriber, for the people that did gifts and all that stuff. I truly appreciate it. I appreciate all of you that come back every week. I have my regulars. I see you every week. You're the reason I do what I do. You really are. I am super excited for 2024. I really am. 2023, when I look back on the year, I'm going to say this was a life-changing year for me in a positive way. You know, I was still involved with men's issues, but I really got into it. And I'm really excited about 2024. So, and that's thanks to you guys. I love the feedback that you give me. I even like the negative feedback. Like I said, it makes me laugh. I appreciate all of you. I will be live next Wednesday, and it'll be my final live show for the year, right? So I will be live next Wednesday from 4 to 5:30. And I'm not sure yet what we're going to talk about. It's Christmas week. We'll probably talk Christmassy stuff. By the way, happy Hanukkah to all my Jewish friends. I grew up in a Jewish neighborhood. Happy Chanukah. And come back, join me for that. We like to have some fun. The last one of the year, I like to just have fun with it. And then next year, like I said, I'll be taking a couple weeks off, and then next year we'll be doing the lives again. And I'm really seriously considering adding some other times, or at least one other time. Like I said, the podcast is on hiatus. It starts back up. I think it's January 9th, something like that. I'm not sure on the exact date. After the first week of the year, the next Sunday after that. Come back and join me. I appreciate every single one of you. I thank you from the bottom of my heart for all you do for me, whether it's supporting me financially, the likes, all that stuff. I do appreciate it, and I couldn't do it without you. And I know that sounds like trite and everybody says it, but it's true. It really is. I'm going to ramble. I hope you all have a great week. I am really happy I got through this because I still feel like crap, but I managed to get through it. So I'm calling it a win. And I will see you all next week.